A lot of people laughed at me. When I dropped that reflection after the Florida State loss, I said something most people didn't want to hear. That loss might have been necessary. The missing detail Alabama needed to make history again. But not everyone saw it that way. Some called me crazy. Some said I was making excuses. Others said the season was already over. Well, maybe it's still too early to say for sure. But I'm not afraid to double down. So here it is. That ugly loss to Florida State might have been the best thing to happen to Alabama this season. And here's the funny part. Even major sites are now saying exactly what we talked about right after the game, when everyone was still furious at the players and at Kalen DeBoer. But today, the story's different. We're going to break down what changed inside this team after that loss and talk about another prediction, one that has people tearing me apart in the comments. But yeah, I believe it's going to happen. And I want you to watch and drop your thoughts. If you think I'm completely crazy, say it. But if you agree with me, let me know. Because at the end of the day, we're all Bama.
Back when Alabama lost to Florida, the feeling was one of national embarrassment. It was supposed to be an easy game, the start of a new era, but reality hit differently. And I remember exactly what happened in the comments here on the channel. Fans completely discouraged. People saying this team had no fight left. Others saying the players were more focused on money than on the legacy, and that the Alabama standard was gone. I get that frustration, truly, because when you look back at Nick Saban's historic teams, there's a clear pattern: commitment, sacrifice, and relentless effort. Nobody accepted losing. Nobody accepted letting up. And then, suddenly, in that game against Florida, it looked like that spirit was gone. What we saw was a team disorganized, disconnected, and missing the same energy that always defined us. It wasn't just the loss, it was the way Alabama lost, and that hurt more than the scoreboard. But here's what almost nobody noticed. That loss changed the locker room. Head coach Kalen DeBoer said it openly afterward. He admitted that something shifted inside that group. Key players talked about hurt pride and feeling ashamed of how they performed. And that shame lit a fire. That's when I came here on the channel and said, this loss might be the missing detail Alabama needed to wake up. At the time, a lot of people called me crazy. Some said I was just making excuses, inventing a narrative, or clinging to false hope. It's hard to find anyone willing to take that risk before the proof is on the field. But look at what's happening now. Even major outlets are starting to back up what we said right after the game. For example, on AL.com, the headline couldn't be clearer. How Florida State disaster inspired Alabama's ULM blowout. Exactly what we said here from the very beginning. Now, after the 73-0 demolition against ULM, everyone sees it. That loss was the turning point, the spark Alabama needed to wake up. And again, it wasn't just about the win against ULM. This was a planned statement. The team came in with blood in their eyes, playing with a different energy and a whole new level of intensity. That game sent a message to the entire country. Alabama is still alive. And you know what stood out to me the most? It wasn't just the score. It was the attitude. Players fighting for every single snap like it was their last. A more aggressive defense, a more creative offense, and above all, collective commitment. When I see this, I'm reminded of those championship teams. And now, with major outlets recognizing the shift, it feels like everyone is finally starting to understand what we've been saying since the beginning. That humiliation might have been the turning point of the entire season. In other words, it looks like we were right all along.
And before we wrap this up, remember that other video we made? The one we posted before the 73-0 blowout, where we said Alabama's turning point this season could look a lot like something we've seen before, the legendary 2008 Blackout Game. If you haven't watched it yet, make sure you check it out after this. In that video, we said this season might follow a similar storyline to 2008, when nobody believed in Alabama, Georgia was the heavy favorite, and yet the Tide showed up hungry, played angry, and changed everything. But of course, the comments were flooded with doubts. A lot of people said that even if there are parallels, history wouldn't repeat itself this time. And the main argument was always the same. These players don't have the same fight. This team doesn't have the same pride. This roster just isn't built like the championship teams. But here's the thing. People were thinking that way because they didn't consider what we said from the very beginning, that the Florida State loss might have been exactly what Alabama needed to wake up. And now, here we are. After that 73-0 statement win, after seeing a whole new level of energy, intensity, and focus on the field, was that prediction really so crazy after all? But here's the real test. Georgia. That's the game that will prove if this Alabama turnaround is real, or if it was just a flash. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe this Alabama team has finally woken up? Or do you still think Georgia is going to expose the same problems? And seriously, go back and watch that other video after this one, because there we break down why this Georgia matchup could be Alabama's new blackout game. And after what we just saw against ULM, maybe history is about to repeat itself.
Guys really could feel the juice and the energy from the fans, and it helps when you make the plays to give them something to cheer about too. So just a lot of positives, and we got to keep it going. Yeah, it's something I've done a number of times over the years, going way back, but that's one of the more recent ones. And so, Jake bowed up, and thought Ty responded pretty well too, and it's one of those they kind of question probably at first why, but I think competition is just going to bring out the best in everyone. And I think that did that for Ty in his week of preparation. Obviously, it helps Austin, gives him some energy to really go out there and. We're looking at him. He got some quality snaps in the game, and across the board, we do that at other positions and don't really think twice about it. We guys rotating in at defensive positions. We do that at the offensive line. Receiver personnel groupings. We're doing a lot of that. So again, competition. Helping bring out the best, and that's what Jake did, and I think that's what Ty did here this last week.